And welcome into this edition of ACAP Today for the month of January 2025, a brand new year. On this month's edition of ACAP Today, we're going to look back at the year that was, at 2024, a year of celebration, challenge, and change for all of us here in Aroostook County, and specifically through the lens of the Aroostook County Action Program and how those three themes, celebration, challenge, and change, really defined 2024 for us. We're also going to look ahead to 2025 and what the new year will bring for the agency and for the people of Aroostook County and the communities of Aroostook County that we serve. But before we get to all that, and before I'm joined by some of my colleagues in leadership here at ACAP to talk about 2024 and look ahead to 2025, we're first going to get to the news and information that you can use again for the month of January 2025. And we begin in news and information that you can use with this. The Aroostook Workforce Connector, which is spearheaded by our partners at Aroostook Regional Transportation System, or ARTS, is now available and running and has actually made some initial changes to the program, which allows for door-to-door service for individuals who take part in the Aroostook Workforce Connector program, which could include you. If you live or work in central Aroostook County and don't have reliable transportation that's preventing you from securing or maintaining employment, we're encouraging you to call ARTS and check in on the Aroostook Workforce Connector. Now, the program operates Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., and it's at no cost to program participants, and it provides a door-to-door service from home to workplace at the beginning of a shift and from workplace to home at the end of a shift. We really are encouraging people to take advantage of this Aroostook Workforce Connector. It's a pilot project brought to you by Aroostook Regional Transportation System, or ARTS, in partnership with several community partners, including Northern Maine Development Commission, Aroostook Partnership, and us here at ACAP, as well as employers McCain's, Tempo, and Huber. Now, if you want more information, call 764-5246 to sign up, or you can visit the Aroostook Transportation website at www.aroostoktransportation.org. And again, we're encouraging all folks who have an impediment of transportation, of getting to and from work in the central Aroostook County area, to really take advantage of this service. We move on now to just reminding folks, specifically folks up in the St. John Valley, that our new business hours for our Fort Kent and Madawaska offices, where we're greeting members of the public, are scheduled as follows, as you see here on the screen. Our office in Fort Kent is open on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Now, on Tuesday and Thursday, our office hours are open in Fort Kent for the public for walk-ins and for scheduled appointments of programs like the Home Energy Assistance Program from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Our Madawaska office is open on Tuesday and Thursday from 8 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. And that's typically the time that scheduled Home Energy Assistance Program appointments are available. Now, any variations to these, such as when a Women, Infant, and Children's Program clinic is happening at either one of those locations, are certainly made with those who are seeking those services at that time. So if you have a WIC appointment in Madawaska or Fort Kent and it's not at those hours or times listed there, don't worry. Our WIC team will be there in particular, or we may schedule other appointments at the office during off to public otherwise hours that you see listed there. But again, just take note of these new office hours for us in Fort Kent and Madawaska, people of the St. John Valley. We also want to say that January is the perfect time to sign up to be a volunteer for the tax preparation program, the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program. We are beginning training this month so that we can begin to provide tax assistance in the month of February. We are really in need of volunteers to help with this program. We served over 1,000 Aroostook County households last year with a free volunteer income tax assistance program and connected them with other services and programs in meeting with the customers who took advantage of the tax appointments afterwards. You will receive training and then begin volunteering at a location here in the community. Training is offered both online and in the classroom. The tax site is in Presque Isle a few days a week, and hours are flexible, and we meet the volunteer schedule. Please contact us at info@acap-me.org or at 764-3721 extension 246 to become one step closer to becoming a VITA tax volunteer program to help give back to your community in this most meaningful way. We also are reminding folks that the Home Energy Assistance Program for folks needing assistance heating their homes is continuing to be available. We are offering the online application, which can be accessed there at ecos.mainhousing.org. That will allow you to complete your application process online. As a reminder, the income qualification guidelines are listed for the current season there on your screen by household size. In addition to that, we can expense out paid out of pocket medical expenses that can be deducted from the household income. If you'd like to make an appointment to come in person, 768-3053. But again, we prefer that folks who want to access the program more quickly do take advantage of the online offering that is available for the first time this year at that ecos.mainhousing.org portal. We also want to let folks know that we here at ACAP are hiring for positions across Aroostook County, across our programs as well: early care and education, coaching and workforce, energy and housing, and prevention and wellness. ACAP offers a number of things, including, I would say, health insurance, 100% employer paid premium for the basic plan here for the employee only. We also have other benefits such as dental and vision, pet insurance, paid holidays, earned time, and certainly opportunities for career advancement. Give us a call here at ACAP or visit us at www.acap-me.org/join our team. And if we haven't mentioned something and you are in need of services from Aroostook County Action Program, or just in need at this time, we certainly have navigators here at ACAP that can help you access those services, both here in our agency as well as outside of the agency. So we encourage you to please call us at 764-3721. You can also check out our website, where you can see all of the programs and services that we offer. Again, but if you are in need of being connected with services and not quite sure where to start, give our navigators a call here at 764-3721. And as I mentioned at the top of this month's, I should say, ACAP today, we are talking about 2024, a year of celebration, challenge, and change. Joining me are members of ACAP's leadership team who are going to talk with us about 2024 and look ahead to 2025. Sherry Locke is ACAP's Chief Operating Officer. Heidi Ratcliffe and Megan Barnes are ACAP's Chief Program Officers, and Sue Powers is Director of Strategic Initiatives. Welcome all to the program.
Thank you, Jason.
All right, so we are going to talk about 2024. It was quite the year for the agency. We're going to talk about it in terms of the context of our 3 C's, if you can, or if you will, and those are celebration, challenge, and change. First of all, our biggest celebration of the year, and I know Heidi Ratcliffe, you were very involved in this, as were all of the team members on this screen, was the opening of Norman L. Fournier Place, captured there at opening day in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. Heidi, as this new facility, the first of its kind outside of Portland as a supportive housing complex in the state of Maine, opened its doors, talk to us in the last quarter of this year about the impact that it's had on the people that we serve.
I think it's really hard to be able to say the true impact that Fournier Place has. I think it has been a beacon of hope. I think for the 13 individuals, the 13 units we were able to fill, it was an opportunity at a second chance at life. The majority of the residents that we put in there, the average length of homelessness was 18 months. 18 months without having a place to stay is consuming, and to think that that is no longer a barrier for them, and now they have the full potential to go on and pursue whatever their desires are, whether that be employment or education, with the assistance of our coaching team and our services on the bottom floor of that unit. We've already seen some great growth and some promise. We have a tenant or two going back to college. We have several that have gained full-time employment, and really the positive outcomes continue to happen every day. It's really a community over there, and I think it's because the majority of the people there are just grateful to simply be given the opportunity. We thought this would be successful. We're incredibly pleased to see that it is becoming successful, and we hope it continues to gain the important acknowledgement of facilities needing to be in existence such as this. We need more. We have about 30 people on the wait list trying to get into housing, which just speaks to the need that truly exists in the county.
Now, Sue Powers, listening to all that Heidi Ratcliffe just had to say there about the facility itself, the individual for who it's named after, who you had the opportunity to work with for many years and who you continue to serve in a volunteer capacity with on committees and the like, certainly that is a testament to all of the work that he's done throughout his career for Aroostook County. And of course, I'm speaking of Norman L. Fournier.
Norm Fournier is a hero to the people of Aroostook County. He has been in so many different spaces, and my first experience with him was community action when he was executive director here at ACAP. And his commitment and his undying commitment to the people of Aroostook and the people of the state of Maine to make sure that life is better for them on all fronts is I can't speak highly enough of him. He is, as Heidi said, a beacon of hope for the people, and it's so fitting that that building has been named after him.
He very well said. I had the opportunity to start working with him early on in my career as well as an alumni of the University of Maine at Fort Kent. He served on our board there, and I worked with him then, and now have the pleasure of connecting with him as a community member in many different capacities. So a truly great individual. We'll change now. We're going to talk more about some of the celebration in a little bit, and we're going to change now to talking about the challenge, because there was a lot of celebration and there was a lot of challenge and opportunities for change in the last year. But we're going to talk about challenge, sort of our overarching challenge for 2024. Megan Barnes, Sherry Locke bring you into this part of the conversation, where really one of the key challenges that we were all facing as a community was still a need for services, and probably a greater need for services with the cost of living and the like. But the challenge of seeing many of the services that we have and that we were able to offer the community reduced or diminished because of the post-pandemic era and a lack of funding. Those challenges certainly were pervasive throughout 2024.
Sure. Yes, and particularly in a couple of areas of services that we provide. One of them is increased access to high quality childcare. We've done a tremendous amount of work within the communities as an agency to try to find solutions around families being able to access childcare throughout the county. Myself and Sue Powers have sat on a committee that consists of community members or community leaders or business leaders within the communities that we serve to find solutions. And one area that we're looking at is creating a childcare resource center, which would provide supports and services to providers within the communities and surrounding communities to support high quality childcare opportunities and professional development opportunities for existing providers to increase their quality, which would allow them to access additional services. We also have, as an agency, have the contract for First for Me, which is working with 4 existing providers within our communities to increase quality, provide professional development, as well as support parent engagement around transitioning into public schools. We are continuing this work from our Fort Kent to Holton regions to be able to provide additional supports and resources to additional providers. It's in a 3-year pilot program, and currently we're in year 2, which by year 3, we'd like to increase that by an additional 2 or 3 providers within those communities.
And we're certainly going to talk more about that in just a bit, Megan. We want to pivot maybe a little bit from challenge, Sherry Locke. Let's pivot from challenge to change, sort of in the overarching, talking about the year that was 2024 with the agency and the community, and certainly a number of ways that we've helped and been able to meet that challenge. and meet the changes that our community is facing are by our partnerships and connecting with others. Megan mentioned several of those there in terms of state partnerships and local partnerships. But as somebody who oversees the work that we do with our community services block grant, you are responsible for sort of chronicling all of the community partnerships that we have, and it's quite vast.
Absolutely, Jason. And partnerships are really the key to the work that we're doing. 2024 has been incredibly hard for the families that we serve. We have recognized that, and the only way that we're able to combat that is by working with partners both locally at the state level and at the national level to really increase our impact and the support that we're able to provide to these individuals and families that are feeling very, very challenged post-pandemic. So working with partners again around childcare, around transportation, around just basic needs, housing, and the basic services that we can provide. We've really made that a priority for the agency, and really looking at how we can do it better, how we're able to meet those needs by pooling those resources, putting the work that we're doing together with the work that others are doing to really, again, have that impact that the families need, so that they are able to maintain their households. Workforce has been a big piece of that. Heidi's team has been working very closely with local employers, being able to provide training to individuals in our community that may need that additional education and training to either re-enter the workforce or to be able to work at a higher level occupation. So working with with the businesses to be able to fill those workforce needs. So partnership has truly been the biggest piece of our success for 2024 into helping families reach those goals.
We're going to do a dive in just a moment, a deeper dive into the successes of programs, the celebration, the challenges, and the change of programs here at ACAP with Heidi and Megan in just a moment. But first, I want you to provide us with an overview of some areas where celebration, challenge, and change certainly was indicative in our overarching work across Aroostook County and beyond from that perspective. And I guess we're going to start first with our celebration in 2024. Leading into 2025 is a new designation.
Yeah, so really excited. We just recently were made aware that we actually are being awarded the Pathways to Excellence. We've been awarded the silver tier. So this is a nationally recognized program that community action agencies embark on. It's a long process. This is the second tier, and it allows us to take a look at the 35 standards of excellence and how we are doing the work that we're doing to serve our community. So in the summer of 2024, we submitted that proposal, and we've just been, it's just been announced that we will be receiving that designation in the beginning of 2025. So really excited that we have received this national designation because it really exemplifies the work that we are doing here in rural Aroostook County, again, to meet the needs of the folks that we serve.
And something else as we sort of pivot now to challenge, as community action agencies, we're required to constantly monitor what the needs are of our community. And one of the challenges that we collectively worked on this year, obviously, is doing just that. And that work will really manifest itself here in 2025. But talk, if you will, about that effort that's started in 2024 and it's going to continue into 2025 and why it, in this particular case, it's quite groundbreaking.
Yeah, so we are very fortunate that we work with 9 sister CAPs here in the state of Maine, and with the MECAP organization, again, to be able to meet the needs of our individual communities. One of the areas of strength that we have are the team members that we have, not only at ACAP, but across the sister CAP. So by pooling those resources, by identifying top talent and the expertise that many of those members have, we are able to share those resources, again, to build stronger systems to be able to deliver more impactful services here in Aroostook County. The data work that we've been doing in Aroostook County is just one example of that expertise that we have grown here in Aroostook County and that we are now sharing with other community action agencies throughout the state. And that work, again, has just started in 2024, but we're seeing huge success. So really excited to have that opportunity and to share that local talent throughout the state of Maine.
And speaking of combining efforts, one of the things that 2024 will go down as noted for and will become more evident in 2025 is this thing called a community needs assessment. Tell us about how that is really chronicling change and going to bring about some more positive change.
Yes, so as a community action agency, we are required to do a very comprehensive community needs assessment every 3 years. That has been something that ACAP has done for decades. Back in 2021, we actually worked with the 9 other community action agencies in the state of Maine to do a statewide community needs assessment, which was very successful, one of the first in the nation to do it at that state level. But we actually have taken it a step further. We have actually partnered with the medical system that actually is also required to do a needs assessment. We have aligned our timeline to be able to complete one shared community health needs assessment. So it will include health components of the survey as well as poverty indicators. So we're able to put all of that research together. There were surveys and focus groups. We're able to put all of that data together to really tell the whole story and to tell a better, more thorough story of what those needs are, not only here in Aroostook County, but we will also have that data at the state level. So it'll be really great as we work on our next strategic plan to have that data that really includes both the health needs and then the social determinants of health. So it's really a huge piece for the state of Maine, and really great that we're going to be able to share that data in our community in early 2025.
And look forward to seeing that data. Again, we will be releasing that publicly in 2025, as will other parts of the state of Maine and the overall needs that we are seeing across the state of Maine, both from a health perspective and a social determinants of health perspective, and the intersectionality between those two. Now let's talk about, we mentioned earlier, and I know Megan got into some of the program celebration challenges and change that we've seen in 2024 and that we'll continue to see in 2025. But let's get into some of those specifically. And Megan, it was very difficult for both you and Heidi to select areas where we had celebration and to really hone in on one, but we asked each of you to sort of focus on one area for celebration, challenge, and change in 2024. So I'm going to let you start with some really good news for families with young children in terms of accessing nutrition services as one of our celebrations of 2024.
Thank you, Jason. And women, infant, and children, our programming, it's important to state that WIC this past year just celebrated their 50th anniversary. So that's another reason why we really wanted to showcase this program. And under this program, participants receive quality nutrition education and services, breastfeeding education and support, as well as free healthy foods monthly and seasonally at farmers markets. So within that realm, we looked at an overall 18% of increase in participants this previous year. And all of these participants had access to increased access to fruits and fresh fruits and vegetables. This happens through our contracts with over 16 Aroostook County WIC approved grocery stores, through our 7 different ACAP WIC Farmer Days that we held in Presque Isle this year, as well as participants can choose to go directly to farmers, because that's supported under this program as well. We also looked at, with our breastfeeding education, over 120 moms utilize breastfeeding peer counselor program that's offered, which is huge. So we saw an increase in that, as well as over 300 women were given free prenatal vitamins through our Vitamin Angel program that falls under this program. The economic impact of WIC programming is that there's money spent at grocery stores within our local communities and at local farmers. So it supports businesses within our communities, and it also allows families to offset some of those costs. As we know, that's been a significant impact on many of our community families.
Yeah, and speaking of economic and social advancement for families, Heidi Ratcliffe, one of the areas that you're highlighting as a key celebration for 2024 is the work that we've done to engage county community members, both adults and youth, into the workforce, and how that advances them, obviously economically, but socially speaking as well, which is what we as an agency aspire to do. Talk about those wins and those successes as it relates to workforce with ACAP in the last year.
Absolutely. We were given the opportunity to have a couple new contracts this year, our ELO extended learning opportunity and our children's cabinet contract, which specifically focused on youth, which gave us an upper hand in the fact that we were no longer serving just youth within a certain income bracket. We were now able to serve all youth in Aroostook County, which gave us some amazing numbers and some great opportunities to continue to build those partnerships with those businesses in the community that Sherry talked about earlier. Between both our workforce programs with youth and the adults, we had over 300 individuals gain work experience sites, not to mention the increased businesses and work placement sites who have come on board because of those additional youth, which is really a win-win for everybody. We know that everybody has a point in their life where sometimes you need that upper hand, and that work experience can be the difference in someone's life to be able to get them back into the workforce, get them confident enough to be able to maintain and obtain employment in the first place. It's really the pillar of the work that we do here with a community action agency. We want to empower people to be the best version of themselves. We know education and workforce is a huge component of that. And with the additional contracts we received, again, touching the lives of over 300 individuals through work experience is something that I know our team is incredibly proud of, and something we definitely wanted to highlight this year in 24.
Yes, certainly. And when we talk about workforce here at ACAP, and when anyone's talking about workforce these days across the state and country, a lot of that is directly connected with the ability for families to access high quality, affordable childcare. Now, Megan Barnes, you mentioned work that you and Sue Powers were doing in partnership with others in the community, members of your team here in early care and education at ACAP as well. But there really has been a lot accomplished in 2024 to help lay the foundation for increasing access to high quality, affordable childcare for families. Talk about that.
So yes, there has been, as far as working with the communities as well as working with partnerships, which we discussed previously. It's important to know under increasing high quality childcare that includes all early childhood education services that the agency provides or partners with other entities to provide. And I want to just focus on the fact that we have worked very hard within our communities to partner with local school administrative units to provide services in those local school settings, as well as in our own facilities, to increase or expand the hours to support working families, as well as increase the quality of services provided. So adding those comprehensive services that the agency has allows that experience for the family as well as the young child within whatever setting, whether it's a local provider or a school administrative unit or in our own facilities, really that comprehensive approach to providing those needs. I think that's the most important piece that has been a challenge, but we continue to work very hard within our communities to provide those comprehensive services.
And in terms of sort of looking at the other side of the equation, Heidi, one of the areas that you're highlighting as a challenge, obviously, and I would say that probably a number of folks in Aroostook County, 8,000 strong households who rely on us to help heat their homes in the winter to provide energy assistance, have certainly recognized that that has become more challenging, especially here in 2024, as it has in previous years, or the most recent couple years before that anyway. So talk about that limitation in what we're seeing with energy assistance and with other programs as a challenge that we're facing at this time that households in Aroostook County are experiencing.
Yeah, I definitely think that this is probably one of the biggest challenges in kind of the area that I have the pleasure of overseeing, mostly because our heating assistance program is the main source of a lot of the funding that comes through our other programs. So with our heating being capped for the first time, typically in previous years, we can take as many applications as we need to serve as many households that have the need and within the income guidelines. This is the first year that we have a cap. We've been given a number, so we're only able to approve and certify a certain amount of applications. Last year was a little different because We started a waiting list after we had given out applications, and then luckily there was additional funding that came through that was able to give a benefit to everybody. This year, we don't know that that's going to happen. So there's a lot of uncertainty for community members who are vulnerable. And unfortunately, when our heating contract is reduced administratively, which it has significantly been, which we have a reduction in our staff to account for that, it also affects our housing programs. So our weatherization list that people hear of all the time is, can be up to 5 years, or our chip and heat pumps and all of these pieces. These are reflected upon the heat dollars that are coming in. So we anticipate that there's going to be much change that is coming not only to our heat benefits, but also to our housing portion, which is directly connected to our energy contracts. And it's quite frankly a scary time right now. Nobody wants to have anyone experience cold and not knowing what they're going to do if they're in a position. And luckily, we've always had a program that we can rely on or fall back on. And this will be the first year that there's a lot of unknowns to be able to indicate whether or not we're able to get through that winter season, which is scary and something we're willing to work on. It's just a moment at a time and not knowing what's going to happen until we get in that situation, unfortunately.
So certainly lots of changes there across the board. You've discussed that, Heidi, in terms of energy assistance, and more to come statewide as it relates to energy assistance. But we're also looking at the change as it relates to, and Megan, you touched upon this as well, how we're able to touch families in Aroostook County with early childhood education experiences, and how those partnerships are really key to the change moving forward. Anything else that you might want to add in terms of the work that you're doing to help bring that about here in Aroostook County?
I think it's important to note too around how to bring those to Aroostook County is the funding, and how providers are able to offset some of those costs, because it's very expensive to provide childcare services to the community. There's a lot of different state funded initiatives, particularly I'm going to just give one example, the Child Care Affordability Program, which supports a number of families accessing the subsidy program to offset the cost, the overarching costs of accessing childcare. There's also programs that are state funded that support the providers in offsetting the costs, and that's based on the tier system, the state tiered system, on how you can offset some of those costs within your business. So I think that's important to note as well, because it does support increased access for families to access those childcare services within the communities that they live. So
thank you, Megan and Heidi, for sort of providing a great overview. And again, that was just really the tip of the iceberg. We asked you to sort of select key areas in the agency that sort of define that, but there was certainly celebration, challenge, and change across all of our 40+ programs and services here at ACAP. And certainly another area where we've experienced all of these C's, celebration, challenge, and change, is in the work that Sue Powers has led for the agency in strategic initiatives and special projects. And Sue, that really has extended beyond the bounds of not only Aroostook County Action Program, but Aroostook County geographically itself, in terms of some of the things that we've been able to do, and folks that we've been able to connect with beyond the state of Maine, for that matter. Talk about some of the partnerships and exciting things and celebration, challenge, and change in your work area that you've seen.
Sure, Jason, thank you. As I'm listening to Sherry, Heidi, and Megan, the one piece that really stands out for me is, as it says on the screen, no one entity can do it alone. We need to all work together in order to build the best and strongest programs and to be able to support the people that we're serving every day. So ACAP has been a leader across the state and across the country in sharing innovation and practices that we've started here. We've tried out, we've brought to a level of efficiency and effectiveness. As some of those areas are around our whole family work, in the areas of communication and design, whether energy programs, various other programs. But a lot of that work is really focusing on our work around structure, organizational structure, and really building organizational structure that supports community action within communities. And it's very easy to transfer that work anywhere in the country. And we have been working very closely with some agencies across the country. We've been to Vermont and Kansas and Washington State, are working with some programs in Pennsylvania to really look at those structures and ways of doing our work that can bring that efficiency and more effectiveness to the work that we're doing directly with customers. We work regularly with National Community Action Partnership and with Maine Community Action Partnership, both nationally and across the state.
And Sue, in that work that we've done, I think we both share the sentiment that we've been working to help others, but in that exchange, there's sort of always the opportunity to learn from a mutual perspective. From that perspective, that's been really rewarding for me, and I know it has for you as well.
Each time I visit a program or I have a video conference with leaders from a program, I bring something away from that I can bring back to our team at ACAP, new ideas of things that are working in other parts of the country that we may not have thought of. And you're right, Jason, it is a learning experience going both directions.
So you yourself, Sue, have had the opportunity to connect. You were talking about the agencies that we've mentored. You've done some site visits. Up on the screen there as well was the logo for the Aspen Institute, which is a sort of a thought leader in the whole family arena. What have you gained from the experiences, aside from the learning, obviously, about the work that you've been able to connect with beyond the borders of Aroostook County and ACAP?
Aspen Institute is the lead organization, pretty much the founding organization of the work that we're doing around 2-gen and whole family work. That organization holds a convening each year. It's called the Think Exchange. And they invite leaders from across the country to come together and really bring those innovative thoughts and practices to that space to share and to learn from each other. I was fortunate this year to be selected as one of the 200 across the country to be able to travel to Aspen. Spent a week with those 200 thought leaders, really just immersed in innovation and practices and learning from each other. It also was a great opportunity. There were 4 other people from Maine that were at that conference, where I was able to engage and really make some strong connections to come up with some design work for some systems in Maine that may more strongly support whole family work from the state level.
Now, let's take it back and zoom back in here at ACAP. One of the initiatives that you led for ACAP and continue to lead for ACAP really has really gone to the second of our C's, which is to sort of challenge the model in which we work and the way that we conduct business and the way that we serve customers. Talk about that challenge and the work that you've done on that challenge this year.
Sure. So challenging ourselves is always probably the most difficult, because why do we want to challenge ourselves is sometimes the question. And by challenging ourselves, we become better, we become more efficient, we really become a stronger organization. So this year we have moved that challenge to a holistic approach to our intake process. We're calling it an agency intake process. Our customers are experiencing a different entrance into the agency. So they may have made an appointment for HEAP and find themselves talking with an intake specialist about WIC and Head Start and other programs that they may very well be eligible for that they didn't know they were eligible for. So what we're able to do through this agency intake process is really give customers a more comprehensive look at services that are available both within ACAP and within the community that may be able to benefit their family. And through this, the approach, the two gen whole family approach really is to empower families to build a system that works for them and to access services that work best for them and for their family. And by empowering the family to choose which programs they may be eligible for and want to access, we really are just helping that family to build their strength and their stamina for continuing on after we're not in the picture anymore. So we really want to empower families, and by doing that, we have taken steps to break down silos, to break down barriers, to really look at how we can work across programs rather than work individually in programs, to bring the best service to the customers that are coming through our doors.
And of course, that initiative and everything that we've talked about really has a new life and continues to evolve in 2025 as we turn the corner there. Before we leave your topic areas, though, what were you citing as your change for 2024?
I think that what we really need to look at is is beyond our walls into how do we support systems change within state systems and federal systems to really support being able to do the work in a blended and braided model. Not all of the funding sources that we work with work in that model. So that in and of itself brings about some challenges. But our work really is stretching beyond that and challenging those systems to come up with a better way to really meet the whole needs of families that we're working with.
And that, Sherry Locke, really is going to be a continued piece of the work for all of us in 2025 as we experience a year of more celebration, challenge, and change. Talk about some of the areas that we will see coming in 2025, maybe that we haven't covered up until this point, and maybe through the lens of what you know and see coming down the pike in terms of the community needs assessment and how we're going to tackle and how we have been tackling some of the community needs.
I think a lot of the lessons that we've learned in 2024 will carry over to 2025. One of those examples, in 2024, we put a small fleet of vehicles on the road. Our team had shared that that was something that was needed to better serve communities in those outlying areas. So we purchased what we call the mini fleet, which is available to the talented members of our team, so that they're able to better get to the customers that need us in those more rural areas. So we did roll that out in 2024. And in 2025, we will be launching our mobile service unit, which is a much larger unit that will bring teams of our members of our team and as well as community partners to more outlying areas to deliver many of the services that we provide and our community partners can provide to individuals that may not be able to get into those hub locations, Presque Isle, Holton, Fort Kent. So really excited about what that looks like. Transportation continues to be identified as a community need here in Aroostook County and really here in the state of Maine. And using the mini fleet and the mobile unit, we're able to better address those needs, as well as partnering with other organizations that do provide more direct transportation services. We expect the needs assessment to be very similar to the last assessment that we had in 2021. And we're going to be working again very closely with partners to be able to ensure that we're able to meet those needs moving forward.
And Sherry, I don't think, let's just go back to that point for a second. I don't think that many folks always think in terms of understanding about, yes, ACAP has locations in Aroostook County and people come to us for services, but most of our services are actually delivered to people off-site and on location across the agency and the programs.
That's right. So we provide services directly in people's homes and in their communities. We provide virtual services, over the phone services. So I think that's an important piece to note, that we do have locations throughout Aroostook County, but we are accessible in many different ways. And we encourage folks to, when they reach out to us, as Sue talked about our intake process, to let us know which way works best for you and how we can help you meet your needs.
And so, Heidi and Megan certainly can underscore that, whether it's our programs like weatherization or our prevention programs, our WIC programs, other programs that are directly out in the community, using both the fleet of vehicles and the mobile service unit that's to be rolled out in the spring are critical ways that we're able to access and meet those customers where they're at. And quite frankly, from an employer perspective, Heidi, you know this for certain, and I know Megan, it's been a challenge for team members under your purview as well, that requiring employees to use their own vehicles to deliver services has been something that's at times cost us employees, correct, Heidi?
Yeah, that's what I was hoping you were going to talk a little bit about. I think that was the biggest excitement, I think, for part of our team was it was a recruitment barrier. If you think how big Aroostook County is, 3 hours, from top to bottom, and where we cover all of Aroostook County, our housing team is located centrally, but literally go as far north and as far south as Danforth. So you're constantly on the road, and the wear and tear that vehicles have just wasn't, it didn't have the upkeep. So us having the fleet not only saves our employees, which are pivotal to the work we do. Without them, we cannot do this work. And that was identified as one of the biggest barriers. So this was a huge relief to have the fleet vehicles. And not to mention, this funding came specifically with that purpose. This was not contracted dollars that were used for this. This was specifically dedicated to purchase fleet vehicles to not only reach hard to access customers, but to have a resource to be able to keep our staff here happy, and not rely on their family vehicles.
And it
And that's
also, I'd like to add that it also allows us for efficiencies when we look at partnerships, for instance, or visiting certain more remote locations to serve families. And it allows us to pool our expertise. So if there's a fleet vehicle going into a specific region of the county, we're able to maybe carpool, but using agency vehicles. So it is economically more feasible, and it actually creates additional efficiencies in the work that we're trying to do.
So our fleet, our mobile service unit, critical to delivering services in 2025. What else from team members here on this screen are we looking forward to in 2025 in terms of our service to the people and communities of Aroostook County?
We'll just say that Heidi and Megan both touched upon it, but that is the members of our team. And I think that's something that goes understated. And I think we'd be remiss not to mention the 170 team members that we have in all parts of Aroostook County, really working very hard, diligent every day to make life better. They are doing the hard work each and every day. Working with families that are in crisis, working with seniors that are living on that fixed income, and helping them stretch those dollars and access those resources that they may need. And as a team, working really hard to, again, as Megan said, to be as efficient as possible to stretch our dollars to make the greatest impact. So I think that important to note that we do have a very strong team that we appreciate for all that they have done in 2024, and excited to see what they can collectively do in 2025.
I couldn't agree more. Without a doubt, first and foremost, I think 2025 for me is going to be a year of creativity, not out of choice, but out of necessity. And when creativity comes into place, I think there is opportunity. And so look forward to our programs maybe being delivered in a different way, because we might not have that choice. But when things change, there's always exciting things that happen from change. It's not always a bad thing. So looking forward to a very creative 2025.
I echo that. I think another area that's critical is to be open-minded. and be able to pivot. We hear that word a lot in our roles, and I think it's modeling for those that are charged with doing the work. I'm very excited to see potential partnerships and blossoming and growing. I'm also really looking forward to the opportunity. Some of the ideas that we've had as a leadership team is around cross-training and working beyond our programs, working together to collectively be great. I think for 2025, that's a great way to start the year and kind of build on that. And that goes across all of our programs within the agency.
Sue Powers, last word is yours on 2025. Get that crystal ball out.
Well, I am really looking forward to growing partnerships in the community and within the agency. I think that when we talk partnership and we talk innovation and creative ways of doing things, that the team that we have at ACAP is going to lead the way for how we are best able to meet the needs of the customers. And our customers' needs change. And we need to be able to, Megan used the word pivot. We need to be able to pivot as those needs change and to find a way to meet the new needs and to really work within or work outside of the box that sometimes we find ourselves in. And we need to find those creative ways to work within our funding sources as well. So I'm just looking forward to partnership and innovation within the agency.
Right, Sue Powers, great way to wrap us up here. And I don't know about you, but when Megan said pivot and then you repeated it, I don't know if I'm the only one on the screen that had the vision of Ross, the character from Friends, screaming pivot, pivot with the couch and the stairway, because that's exactly what I was picturing. But our team together can pivot that couch on the staircase better than any team that I would put money on. So I'm very thankful to, as Sherry pointed out, the 170 people across Aroostook County who are making that happen each and every day. My thanks to each of you for joining us. Before we leave you today, we want to bring you our snapshot of the month for January 2025. It comes from actually our prevention team. We talked a little bit about our prevention team in this program, and specifically the Healthy Eating Active Living team partnered recently with Penobscot McCrum and food service directors, nutrition directors at schools throughout Aroostook County as part of our main prevention network outreach to connect local foods with local schools as part of that Healthy Eating Active Living program. You see Renee Bragdon there in the foreground and members of the nutrition services teams from schools across Aroostook County. Another critical partnership when we talk about partnerships to helping not only deliver educational services and partnering to deliver educational services in Aroostook County, but healthy nutrition and well-being practices throughout Aroostook County. So our thanks to Penobscot McCrum for allowing folks into their facility and for the coordination work our Healthy Eating Active Living program did to bring folks into the schools. That's this month's edition of ACAP Today. We'll be back in February with a brand new edition. Until then, have a great rest of the month of January, everyone.